Hey, welcome to Sweet and So. Today we're talking about cakes. So excited. I love cake. I love sweets. But I also think it's really easy to make a cake that looks amazing for under 10 bucks. It's actually very easy. You just have to be willing to do a little bit of work. And today I'm going to show you how to make a rainbow cake as well as a piñata cake. Both cakes total hits for me in my experience. Birthday parties, bake sales. The rainbow cake is a little bit more tedious than the piñata cake, but it's got such a wow factor. So let's start with the piñata cake. Piñata cake, all that means is that when you cut into it, candy pours out. It's amazing. Check out the picture here. So how do you make a piñata cake? Well, you first decide how many layers you want to make. We thought we'd go simple. I've got these 6-inch round cake pans, 2 layers, Duncan Hines, yellow cake. So we filled them up about equal height and just 2 layers. Cook them, let them cool completely. That part's important. Once they've cooled completely, you pop them out. You don't even have to cut the top off to make them even. You can just, flip them. And once you've flipped it onto, very important, your cake platter, you cannot transfer it. Once you've put it on the cake platter, you need to frost it on the cake platter. So then, once you flip it, with the bottom layer, you cut a hole in the center of the cake, cooled cake. Pop out that the round cutout part, and then put the second cake over it. Again, make the same size round hole in the middle. Make sure to keep the cap cake, the top of the cake so that you can put it on top. And what you do is you fill it with candy. Fill that hole, that double hole, all the way down with candy. We use Nerds. Nerds work well. I probably wouldn't use chocolate, anything, because it might melt within time, but Nerds worked great. Then what you do is once you filled the candy in the center of the cake, you put that little cake cap back on, and then you frost it entirely. What I did was I used a mint color frosting. All you need to do is add a little bit of food coloring. I have this Wilton's box of multiple colors, and I put a little dab of green, and it made the most beautiful shade of mint. And what you do is you just use a pastry bag. Wilton's also makes these pastry bags. We have a plastic tip that has, you can see a little design on the tip. And I made little flowers all over the cake, on the sides, on the top. And it had a wow factor, I must say. It was very, very easy. After a while, a little tedious with the pastry bag, but put a few little sprinkles on top, and that cake was done. That's the piñata cake. I'm going to put some pictures up of how it looked once it was cut with the girls around. It was just such a success. I think it's an easy way to make a box cake, take it to the next level. So how do you make a rainbow layer cake? I'm sure you've seen these. I mean, they were all the rage a few years ago, and I actually made a rainbow cake for a bake sale about 3 years ago, and it was a little too tedious for me to ever make again, but I've done cake that was dyed different colors, and I made stripes after that. But a rainbow layer cake is not for the faint of heart. It's something that it's a little tedious. Would do is you get enough batter for about 6 or 7 layers. This is a 6-inch round. You could probably use up to a 9-inch round. And what you do is you put a little bit of batter in about 7 or 8 of these. If you don't have 7 or 8, it'll just take you a little bit of time to cook, cool, flip the cake out, and then do it 7 times. That's the part that's a little bit tedious. The way you make the colors is you just add a little bit of the icing food coloring in and make red, orange, yellow, green, blue. And that's pretty much it. You just have portions of the batter separated, colored, cook, and then you assemble it. I'll show you some pictures of when I did it. It did require some balance, which then made me think that maybe a bigger cake might have a little bit more stability than a smaller cake, because the height factor, it gets a little tricky. So what I would do is try it out at your next gathering and see how it goes. You might enjoy it. So there's really nothing more than that to it. You put a little dab of icing in between the layers, and then you assemble the cake, and then you basically cover the whole thing in white. I would stick with a light color, because that cake, no one will know what's coming. Once you cut into that cake, that's where the wow factor is. You really can just make it completely white. I wouldn't put any sprinkles on it. It'll just be a big hit once you cut the first slice. So anyway, I hope that these ideas might inspire you to make a piñata cake or a rainbow cake at your next event. Thanks so much for joining us on Sweet and So, making life a little bit sweeter. Bye-bye. If this tutorial inspired you, you have to check out this new book by Amanda Redkey called Surprise Inside Cakes. She's founder of the popular blog I Am Baker. This book contains tons of recipes and techniques to make dozens of stunning and imaginative cakes for every occasion, each with something special inside. Click the link below. Take a look.